Thank you so much. We are here with Sean Ware from CVS and Tiffany Miller from Creekside Cafe, Chorus Creekside Cafe. And I wanted to give each an opportunity to just tell a little bit about their business. So we'll start with Sean.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm Sean Ware. I am the Workforce Initiative Manager for CVS Health. I oversee Central PA and upstate New York. And what my task is to really community outreach. I reach out to local businesses and organizations that our CVS retail stores are located in and try to create programs and direct hire opportunities for the people who live in these communities. Whether it be youth, people with abilities, veterans, seniors, second chance population. We really focus on, upskilling the community and getting them meaningful employment.
Great, thanks. Tiffany? Tiffany, I can't hear you. You may be muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Hi, so yeah, I'm Tiffany Miller. I'm general manager, Chorus Creekside Tavern. We're a small private-owned restaurant pub in Burnham, Pennsylvania. And I have lots of hats that I wear during the day. It's a small business, but I do everything from bartending, serving to making schedules, cooking in the kitchen, doing inventory, payroll, taxes, pretty much everything that there is to do on a daily basis.
Perfect. And I really appreciate you being here today and discussing how you got started with hiring people with disabilities. And so I'll start with you next, Tiffany. What motivated you to explore hiring people with disabilities?
So I wish I could say that it was by choice that I was actively seeking, but it kind of was just a coincidence. A friend of mine who also was an employee of mine reached out. There was a friend that she had worked with that had an adult child with Down syndrome, and she was just really struggling to find employment, but had a huge desire to be employed and work and gain money for herself. And she said, would you ever be open to looking to hire her? And we talked about like what her abilities were, and I chatted with her mom a little bit, and it just like sat with me, and we talked about it. And I was like, you know what, we don't really have a position that would necessarily cover all of her needs and wants and abilities, but we created a position just for her. And then it was just a few days later that a second employee came in with a job coach unrelated to the first employee. And I was like, wow, this could really be a good thing, because they really want to work. They have limited hours. We have some tasks that require limited hours, but typically you don't get employees that walk in seeking employment for just a couple hours a week. They want full time, and we don't always have that. So we just created some positions, and it's worked out really well for us. We also had, about a year later, hired a third person as well. Each individual that we've hired has a unique situation and a different disability that we've had to kind of tailor to fit, but it's just been a blessing for us.
Tiffany, that's great. And then while we're just starting on your process a little bit, can you just walk us through the initial steps? You kind of talked about it a little bit, but how did you get started?
How did I get started with my
The
position, or
process.
with
Hiring people with disabilities. Yep.
Yeah, so like I said, it was kind of just a conversation that I had with a friend of mine that knew somebody that was looking for, a job. So we did it kind of informally. I talked with the adult's mom, and then she came in. We did like the official hiring paperwork. She had a job coach, which I wasn't aware of those services, and that really took a lot of stress and anxiety off of me, because I was trying to figure out how I was going to fit one more task into my day with supervising and really being there for the young lady that maybe if she needed some extra special supports, how I was going to manage that. So her job coach came with her, had filled out all the paperwork, and we went from there. The second one actually came in with a job coach and did the application process with her as well. And it was just a normal hiring process, normal interview, like I would with any other employee.
Thanks, Tiffany. Sean, what motivated CVS to begin working with people with disabilities? You're muted, Sean.
I'm sorry. Yeah, CBS has been working with people with disabilities long before I joined the team. The way I was introduced to this position with CBS, though, I used to be an instructor at the local Goodwill, and they have a large population of disability individuals. And CBS partnered with that Goodwill to create a retail skills training lab that I was the instructor for. So I have a history of working with people with disabilities. When I came over to CBS, there was a $500 million initiative for social justice and equity. And one of those caveats that fall under that umbrella was working with disability youth, military, seniors, and second chance population. So CBS has been doing this work long before I joined.
And are there any specific programs or resources that you use of OVRs?
So yeah, OVR is our blue chip partner. They use our CBS locations for work assessments, for work experiences, which I just realized there's a difference between a work assessment and a work experience. One of them is just seeing if retail is a good fit for that person. The other one gives them the experience of actually working a 40 to 80 hour work time frame.
Perfect, thank you. And then Sean, could you just talk a little bit about how did you identify opportunities? How did CVS identify opportunities within your company where individuals with disabilities could thrive?
Absolutely. Well, when I joined, it's changed since I've joined, but when I first joined CVS, the motto is bringing your heart to better healthcare. And that's really where CVS started at. We're located in communities. We want to lead with our heart. So all of these open positions are open. We don't put a barrier on what someone can or can't do. Luckily, my position, I'm able to get them in front of a hiring manager and actually do the work before being brought in for an actual interview. So the store manager is already aware of their work capabilities. They're good at their timekeeping schedule. So it's really a hands-on experience for not only that OVR client, but also for the store and the staff to work with that individual.
And then Sean, too, you also work with our business services teams across the state, correct?
Yes, yes, I do.
Perfect. And then Tiffany, how did you identify opportunities in your company for individuals with disabilities?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, with the very first one, we didn't really have, it was kind of cookie cutter, our positions that we were filling at the time. But I saw a definite need for some tasks that were on everyone else's plate that we didn't really have time to get to on a daily basis. And I saw that was a need of ours. And so we created a whole new position to meet that individual's needs and what she was capable of doing. And it just worked out so well because now those tasks that weren't getting completed daily are getting completed daily, and she's getting the hours that she's able to work each week. With the second individual, she actually, we didn't create anything special. We didn't make any accommodations. She has the same expectations as other staff. So yeah, she just filled an open position, as well as the third individual. There was no accommodations to be made. I believe that they had already done some occupational assessments and experience and had already had experience coming in. So we just put them right in, and their job duties really didn't need to be accommodated much, if any. And like I said, 2 of the 3 employees also had job coaches that were on staff pretty regularly for them as well, if there were any tasks that they needed just some prompting or help with.
And I think that's fantastic that you jumped right in. You started with customized employment and creating a position for somebody to meet their needs, but also realizing how that customized employment could meet your needs too. And so I just commend you for jumping right in with customized employment because often employers
Yeah,
are a little bit hesitant to customize their jobs. And so I appreciate you sharing that with everyone because you made it seem less scary. And I also appreciate you talking about job coaching because often businesses are leery about having somebody come on site with an employee. And had relayed that it took some of the burden off of you. It was a relief for you to have that person. So I really appreciate you sharing both of that because it sounds like when you started, you just started. You started right there. You customized employment and you
yeah.
got going with a job coach. So, anything else you would like to say about job coaching because that is something we hear from employers that they're hesitant to partner with us around job coaching. Can you just speak a little bit about how, you fit the job coach? You're a restaurant and so you don't have a ton of space. So how do you work with
Right.
in a small space with job coaches?
Yeah, so like I said, whenever the individual had first applied, I had no experience with working with OVR or people with different abilities. Um, that's not my background. I didn't have any experience with at my current position, so it was very scary for me personally, and then also professionally. Like I said, I wasn't sure how I was going to complete all the tasks that I needed to and be a support to this person, but I also knew that um, she was it was just meant to be, so we were going to figure it out. And then when I realized that she had this thing called a job coach, I was like, oh wow, this is such a great idea. Um and really they just blend right in. They don't, they just kind of stay behind the scenes. The one staff, she I would think prefers to not have a job coach because I think she is feels more like outcast, or like, why doesn't any other employee, any of my coworkers have a job coach? So that job coach is a little bit more in the background than the other one. But really my staff also was a little bit hesitant, like, what do we do? What do we say? How do we interact? Because I mean, we just have a small community, so it's unfortunately not been a prominent thing. But even now, it's, after a few months, staff got used to the job coach and the new staff and what those positions look like, and everyone really just worked together. And now they're just like a staple in the restaurant. Also, our customers really got to know the girl that's in the front of the house, and the days that she doesn't work, people are like, "Where's she at today?" So it just really has been a blessing, and the job coaches take a lot of that stress off, and can also be that mediator if there are any questions, or she actually was completing all of her job tasks that we identified for her after she was trained just in a few short weeks. So we actually had to find additional like busy tasks. So they were there to be the in-between person to identify some other abilities that she may have had that we weren't aware of, and together we just keep building on and kind of making it up as we go.
It's great. And so I just want to add too that you were talking about, your employees and having them as an adjustment to, having a job coach and things like that. I just want to add that OVR does provide disability awareness trainings to employers. And so, to help with that culture and to help, just with everybody learning. To be accepting and inclusive, have an accepting and inclusive culture. So, for any employers that are on the call that weren't in the earlier session, OVR does offer no-cost business services to help make sure that employing people with disabilities is a successful experience, not only for the job seeker, but also for the employer too. And so I'm going to just stick with you, Tiffany, real quick. Were there any misconceptions or barriers within your organization that needed to be overcome?
um I'm probably, I would say, like with myself, like I thought, this was going to be extra work, that I would need to be supportive, 100% of the time and be present with the employees. But really, that's not true. Even there are days when there are not job coaches, if like there's bad weather or they have staff shortage, and it's just been great. I've been blessed with the staff that I have that do have limited abilities. Um, they need little to minimal redirection or support, even when there is no job coaching. They've really had training and experience before applying, for it to be possible. But my staff has been excellent too. I was kind of nervous to see how that would go with the culture and not having that experience before. But really, it's just like a small team, and if anyone needs help, even the staff jumps in to help or redirect. So I think it's just like the unknown that was scary and difficult to just get started with. But it's really no different than all of the other staff.
That's great. And then Sean, you too, was there any misconceptions or barriers within CVS that needed to be overcome?
Maybe at the beginning, maybe a long time ago down the road, but since then, CVS has developed a reasonable accommodations team within the HR department. So if anyone with a disability is hired on into a store, they can reach out to the reasonable accommodations team and they will accommodate anything that they need in the store to help them perform their job.
And then, Sean, I'm just going to stay with you. What impact has this had on your workplace culture, and how have employees with disabilities contributed to your business success?
Absolutely. So across the state of Pennsylvania, I probably work with about 20 providers, all of whom provide job coaches for the students that go through the programs in the store. So out of the, summer youth programs that I've ran, out of the, just work assessments that we've done, it's really built the relationship with the providers in the community, with those store managers, the district leaders, and the staff of the CVS store, to expect the program, welcome the program and the students, and to offer a position to those students once they graduate the programs.
Perfect. And then I think, Tiffany, you've talked about, the impact on your workplace culture and how employees with disabilities contributed to your business success. Is there anything else that you want to add? I think you did a great job of talking about your culture and the benefits of hiring job seekers with disabilities into, your restaurant. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I would just say from an employer standpoint, I have figured out that the dependability and the productivity rate among the staff that have special abilities or different abilities, they show up every day. They're here on time. They work until the very last minute. Their morale and their work ethic is so much better than just regular employee and regular staff. And I'm not sure what that is, if it's just a psychological thing, a mentality. They genuinely want to be working and contributing and earning their money, and they put their whole heart into everything they do. But unfortunately, we have a work culture in this industry that sometimes employees just don't care so much about their job. They show up when they want or call out when they want, and so it's just been, for employer perspective, just great. They're outstanding employees when it comes to punctuality and dependability.
I love that you brought that up, because in my previous presentation, I was dispelling some myths about hiring people with disabilities. And
Yeah.
one of those myths is absenteeism, that they have a higher absentee rate. And I said that research shows that that's not true. And you just reinforced that. So I really appreciate, and we didn't even plan that. So I really appreciate you bringing that up, because that's a real life example of, that a person with disabilities is showing up on time, and they are there from the beginning to the end, and they're not calling out. And I appreciate you sharing, that real life example. And then, Yeah, great. Sean, and then I'm just going to move to you. What small steps can employer take to get started today if they're new to this process?
Small step would be creating a program inside of your bill and inside of your business. Reach out to one of these providers, let them know that we have some open positions in our business. We would love to bring in some of your students, show them what it is that we do in this workspace, and if it's a good fit, offer the position. It'll definitely change the culture of your work environment.
Great. And also, too, I would like to say that OVR is here to help businesses. And so I just put into the chat our resource account if you're interested in partnering with OVR to get started on that small step. In my past presentation, I did say that OVR has a range of services. And so you can participate in mock interviews or informational interviews, workplace tours, just to get started, or we can do a disability awareness training, just to get started and to help your staff and your company learn more about job seekers with disabilities. Tiffany, any advice for employers, small steps that they can take on your end?
I would just second what Sean had to say, and also just think outside the box, because like I said, if I would have just thought about it as it had always been, I probably would have said, no, we don't have any positions that fit her needs. So just think outside the box, some tasks that could be redistributed, and you won't regret hiring somebody who has special abilities or special needs, because it's just been a blessing for us.
And that's really great. And we wanted to make sure that we showed you an example of a large footprint employer such as CVS and how we partner, not only OVR but ODP and OLTL. We all state agencies kind of work together, and so we wanted to give you an example of a large footprint employer. And a small business, and how we work with both sizes and everybody in between. And so I just really appreciate both of you being here and representing your companies and being, at the forefront of hiring job seekers with disabilities and really sharing your thoughts and how you got started with everyone on this call. So I just really appreciate you being here and sharing. And so is before I open it up for questions, is there any last thoughts that you want to share? I think you both did a great job, but I just wanted to leave it up to the both of you to share any last thoughts, and then we'll take some questions from everybody. Tiffany, we'll start with you. Any last thoughts?
Um, Not other than just talk within your community. If you have vacancies that you need to fill, somebody is always looking for jobs, but I very rarely have people with disabilities actually applying, because I think they're gravitating towards like the grocery store, bagging groceries, or where you see people with abilities in the community working is where they gravitate towards. But I I really think that if people were more open, that there'd be a wider range of industries that they would fit into.
Perfect. Sean, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that, like I said, my department focuses on five major demographics: disabilities, veterans, seniors, youth, and second chance population. Disability programs by far bring you the most personal fulfillment. I go into the stores, I do the orientation with the students and the staff, let them know what they can expect during the program, and it's always the greatest outcome with our disability programs.
Thank you. So we do have some questions. The first one is probably for me. Where do we find the information for no-cost business services? I put our resource account up above your comment. We would love to talk to you. So reach out to us, and we can get you connected with those services. So another question for you two is, can the panelists say in what ways this changed their work culture? So Tiffany, you want to talk about the change?
Yeah, sure. I think that first of all, the task that the new position we created, the task that it took off their plate, it was such relief for them. Also, I would say that everyone was, I guess, more patient with each other in general. Also, I've gotten a lot of feedback personally, just saying like how this has impacted them, and gave them the opportunity to work with somebody with a disability that they, had never had either in the family or in a previous job. Just never had experience working with somebody with a disability, and that they were nervous and, didn't know what to expect, but it's been a good thing in their perspective. So yeah, I think it overall just helped the culture and the morale, and just made it really on its own. It was just so natural, and I don't think anyone expected that.
That's fantastic. Sean, changed your work culture?
Absolutely. So, OVR is one of my blue chip partners. I cover the state of Pennsylvania and upstate New York. So I also have partnered with Access VR, which is the New York version of OVR. I am now the go-to person on disability programming for my department. So I have a teammate in California who wants to start a disability program. They reach out to me. I have a partner in Florida who wants to start a disability program. They reach out to me for best steps. So just working with OVR prior to me coming to CVS Health was a big benefit. And I love everything that they stand for. I love seeing the change that I can bring to a store and to that employee, that new employee.
That's fantastic. And then I see somebody has their hand up, but I'm not sure they can unmute. Diana? Not sure what to do there.
I'm not sure whether I can in this particular webinar either. Let me see.
Okay. So if you can put your questions in the chat, I don't think that for this webinar that we have the opportunity for people to unmute. So, type it out the best that you can. Any other questions? So Sharon asked, I was wondering what a job coach or job seeker could do to get hired if the hiring manager doesn't know about partnership. I'll just take this real quick, and then maybe if you all want to jump in. But so if the job coach or job seeker doesn't, or if the hiring manager doesn't know about partnership, I would definitely encourage them to reach out to OVR. And I did put our email address in the chat, because we may be able to come in and do those disability awareness trainings and really just help relieve some of the hesitancy that an employer may have in working with somebody that has a disability. So I would say that the main resource you have is OVR, and we are here, our business services teams are here to help make that process easier. And so I also want to say to any of our community rehabilitation providers that are on this call, our job coaching agencies, that OVR, our business services representatives, there's one in every single office across the state. They are available also to go out with you. And so if you need a little bit of extra support in finding hiring managers to hire job seekers with disabilities, OVR business services representatives are certainly able to go out with you and do some of that disability awareness training, talk about the financial incentives that OVR has, such as our on-the-job training reimbursement, which is 100% wage reimbursement for 90 days. So there are OVR, they used to say, is the best kept secret. I'm out to change that. I do not want to be kept a secret. And so I'm here all of you and get the word out that we are here to support businesses and job seekers in in this process. And so another question is, what things can you say to a prospective employer to open the conversation? I'd like to hear from you two, Tiffany and Sean, what would, as a prospective, as an employer that hires people with disabilities, what could people say to a prospective employer to just open that conversation? Tiffany, want to start?
Yes. So like I said, I had no experience with anyone with different abilities. And so whenever the question was brought to me, do you have an opening for somebody who has Down syndrome? To me, I had no clue that there was such a wide spectrum. And so like I just had a conversation and said like, well, what are they interested in doing? What are they able to do? What are the limitations? And if they have, I guess if the employee has any services that would be beneficial to helping them if they do have limited abilities, just bring that up to the employer and let them know that they will have the support they need. It wouldn't be an extra burden on the employer. I wasn't aware of like the financial incentives or anything like that, so that wasn't really a deciding factor for me. Just that I saw that this girl, and when I met with her, saw that she had a true desire to work. She was able to read and write and do math, and she was intelligent, just needed some supports in other ways. And so I thought, well, there's no difference if she were to walk in versus another person who has experience. So really just have an open conversation and let them know what the abilities are and what their desire to do is, and it could make the difference other than just doing a paper copy of an application or online application. Really try to get an interview or a conversation with the hiring manager.
And then Sean, too, there's a question in here about what if we approach CVS and they aren't open to it? You have a whole, program developed to hiring people with disabilities. You want to talk just a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So you would never need to approach a CVS store. Just reach out to me. You would create a partnership with CVS Health's Workforce Initiatives Department. Once you have a student, let's say you have a student that wants to do a externship inside of a store, we actually reach out to that district leader and that store manager and let them know, hey, this student wants to run a program, or this organization wants to run a program inside your CVS store. Now, if the store isn't set up to handle a program, that district leader will reach back out to us and say, hey, this store isn't a good choice, but we can do it in this location that's, close to where you wanted to do it originally. So the partnership would be with Workforce Initiatives, and we would do all the work for you on the back end.
Sean, do I put your email address in the chat here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now, for Allegheny County, it will be Deborah Collier. I cover everything outside of Allegheny County, Erie, Harrisburg, and then we also have another market manager for Philadelphia. You guys can reach out to me, and if you're in Allegheny County, or I believe it's Montgomery County, Philadelphia is in, I can definitely make the connection with those market managers.
Perfect. Any other questions? We have, about 5 or 10 minutes left. Sean, you cover Lehigh County, or you do not?
No, I believe Lehigh's out is what Philly is located in. So that would be Siobhan Mason. Like I said, but you can reach out to me. Anyone who wants to start a program with CVS, definitely reach out to me. And if it is in one of those other areas, I'll definitely make the connection with that market manager for you.
Yeah. So everyone asking about like the different counties, just reach out to Sean and he'll get you connected to the appropriate person.
Wilkes-Barre is me.
Oh, you're Wilkes-Barre? Okay,
yep.
Perfect. And so then I just want to just clarify a little bit too. In order to receive the financial incentives as an employer, the OVR financial incentives as an employer, you must be signed up with the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to be a provider of ours. And so there is some paperwork that's involved with that. But if you want to receive any of those financial incentives, um, they have to be the job seeker must be an OVR customer. So you have to be working and enrolled with OVR in order to receive those financial incentives. But there are programs through CVS. They have apprenticeships. They have, other things that are not necessarily through OVR that, they have a whole bunch of workforce initiatives, and, Sean would be able to help you with all of that. I just wanted to clarify, if you're looking for OVR financial reimbursement, the person has to be a customer of OVR's, and you must be signed up with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in order to receive those reimbursements. Any other questions? So I just want to thank you both again. I really appreciate you coming on here and speaking at this event. It makes a difference when we have employers talking about what they are doing specifically. It's one thing for OVR or any other state agency to talk about what we do, but to actually have the both of you here that are actually doing it means so much. And so I just really appreciate you taking your time out and